Hi, Kane. William Adams from the New Black Film Collective in London. I just on that the idea of the space, I thought it was hauntingly attractive. There's something really hypnotic about it, and I just wanted to understand both from Backrooms in terms of the series, but then also the development into the film and kind of what you're expecting also from the audience. What do you think attracts people, whether it be audience and the cast alike, to this sort of to the liminal spaces and this sort of distorted familiarity of backrooms? Thank you.
I, I think it very much almost lures people in for all the things that can be said about the more, sort of dark and intellectual industrial aspects of it. I think those are inherently that's under the surface. The interesting part that gets people in is more the link to the familiar to the familiar to for me at least, and a lot of people in like my same demographic feel as though, and I think outside of it too. But there is a catering to like early 2000s and 90s sensibilities within like backrooms discourse. But there is very much like a notion of it's looking at these spaces like what the human mind does to store locations, the places that you may not have been for a long, long time, places that may have been torn down, don't exist anymore, but the evolutionary need to map spaces in our heads and whatnot, like those bones still remain and they're kind of discarded in a pile somewhere and they float around and they change a little bit, but it's almost like I think people are responding to the sort of feeling of being able to return to a world that doesn't exist anymore, a world that they are no longer in direct alignment with, something from their childhood, really. So there's definitely a nostalgic element, but I think it's a nostalgic element in such a way that it's nostalgia for the places and for the buildings and for the non-human elements, which is not usually as commonly spoken about.
Sure. What was it like to work with Chiwetel, and if there's any sort of insights on creating the Clark's character together? Thank you.
Yeah, Chiwetel's great. I really enjoyed the first time we met. We just largely talked about, and I am familiar with his work and I love his sensibilities, but so this wasn't surprising, but we talked about like, this one video I had done just that focuses on the fluorescent lights in the building and like, taking apart the components and the sort of like level of detail that goes into the science fiction, like fundamental, world aspect of it. That is not the point of this film by any means, and is not the most underlying element there. But I think he really had a desire and an excitement about, you know, not necessarily going deep because you need to be able to hold most of the space open for the inner psychology of Clark and his character, who is obviously, sort of at the end of a thread in life and is, constantly kind of desperately pulling backwards into the past, thinking that he can find some kind of, solace in thinking he had a choice at some point, or, all these, things that kind of screwed him over. But I think like really having an appreciation for just the mechanics of the film was exciting. Yeah, I think it was a great collaboration.